When I visit people, they wonder, what's a region advisor? And sometimes they get me mixed up with another role, which is called the international director. So I said, I'm going to give a speech about it. And that's why I'm here today. The region advisor is an appointed position. It's appointed by the international president of Toastmasters, Mike Storkey in this case. You've probably never met Mike Storkey, and that's fine. But he's a pretty important person in the leadership of our organization. The international director is elected. I'm appointed, and the international directors are elected. They're elected by the membership of each of the clubs. Typically, the president votes on behalf of the club for the international directors across the world. There are 14 region advisors, soon to be 18, because we've had a lot of growth in certain parts of the world. On the international director side, there's 14 international directors and 5 international officers. So a total of 19 on the board. The region advisors, each of us have been assigned a geographical region. The international directors represent the entire world. My job is to work directly with the district leaders. I work directly with the trio, as we affectionately call them. That's the district director, the program quality director, and the club growth director. I also work very closely with the public relations manager, who's the outreach person reaching out to say, come to Toastmasters. And thank you for coming to Toastmasters. My job is to help mentor and guide these individuals, to support them for their year as a leader. I train them. I have phone calls with them regularly. I talk to them about their problems. I help them work more effectively as a team. The international directors, on the other hand, they're not there to work directly with the team. They visit, yes, and they work with the members. Whatever the members want to talk about, they're willing to listen and provide advice if needed. But their job is to set the strategy of the organization. Their job is to set the policy and governing documents of this great organization. So if we don't like one of the rules, we can talk to our international director about making a change. Do you like the rules? So far it's working out, okay? But at any point in your time as a Toastmaster, if something's not quite working out, you can bring it either to your district leadership and to say, we have a problem with this rule, or you can take it directly to world headquarters or your international director, and they listen closely to you. As region advisor, my job was to meet fairly regularly with the district leaders. I trained them twice a year, once at the convention. This past year, the convention was located in Washington, D.C., and this year it's going to be in Vancouver, British Columbia. My other time that I trained them, my region met with Region 7, which is the Mid-Atlantic region, and we met in, guess where? Montreal in the wintertime. Yeah. It was cold. And by the way, Washington, D.C. in the summer was hot. My job is not to care about the weather. My job is to train the individuals there. And for that, we had a lot of heart and a lot of great dialogue. Now, the international director, their job is to meet on a regular basis with each other. They listen in to my phone calls with the district leaders, and they gather information about the struggles and problems that our district leaders have. And then they take it back to a group of international directors to talk about, we're having problems, and here's where they are. I think we need to establish some guidance and direction for this organization to proceed into the future to make it even stronger and better. So our jobs are completely different, yet we represent Toastmasters across the world. For me, it's my region that I represent. I am not a spokesperson for Toastmasters International. That's the international director's job. My role is to connect with those district leaders and guide and support them. The international directors, their job is to be a spokesperson, if need be, to represent the organization as the leaders of that organization. And we cheer them on in their communication with the rest of the world. I'd like to open it up for any questions that you may have about our role as region advisor or international director. And of course, you have tons of questions.
Do you have an example of,
There's a question on the floor?
do you have an example of an issue that you may have dealt with in the past that that might illustrate?
I have lots of examples. I'm going to focus in on one of them. I had a district leader who was uncomfortable making phone calls. And perhaps we might think of, are you kidding me? In today's world, you're uncomfortable making phone calls? But every individual has their own struggles. And whatever it is, my job is to help the team overcome the problem. And so what I noticed was her team was very upset and angry that she wasn't reaching out effectively to her team members. They didn't understand it. They didn't know about her difficulties. When I became aware of her difficulties, I asked her, is it okay if we talk about it as a small group? And she said yes. So we did. And at that point, the light bulbs, I call it light bulbs, when the little idea goes off on top of your brain and it says, oh, I get it. And at that point, the light bulbs went off and her team got it. And I was so thrilled because now it wasn't up to her fighting this battle alone. It was up to the team finding alternatives to solve this problem, because it is a problem. And that's my job, is to help guide them with alternatives, not to solve their problems. I let them figure that out. But I guide them to realize that there are so many more alternatives out there that we don't always see. And that's what another perspective helps with. There was another question, Damien?
How many clubs or how many members would be underneath one regional advisor?
I have 1,000 clubs in my region. It varies significantly. Right now, Europe and Africa is all one region. It's region 11. And they have, I want to say about 10 districts, which is huge. So they just broke that. There's four regions that are just splitting on the region advisor position. Region 8, which is your region, is one of them. You now will have 2 region advisors, so that they can help manage that workload. It's a heavy workload, particularly if there's some struggles going on, which is, by the way, normal. Last question.
Yes. What are some of the most positive feedbacks from clubs you've received so others could learn from it? And do you send out a newsletter?
As a region advisor, I don't work directly with the club membership. I can visit a club if that's what the district wants me to do. I don't actually work with the club membership though. And so I don't have a newsletter. My job is to work directly with the trio and the public relations manager. So in my region, there's 24 of us that I work very closely with. And for us to communicate effectively, I communicate with Facebook. We have a private group, and it's only the few of us that are invited to be part of that private group. And with that, I'd love to go ahead and wrap it up. There are significant differences between the region advisor and the international director. These differences do matter. The region advisor is tactical, on the ground. We tend to be strategic as well because we're helping our district leaders be strategic, thinking for the long term. But the international directors, those are the ones that tend to be the most strategic. They are thinking 5 to 10 years out. They are planning for our future. The revitalized education program, of which Pathways is part of, was their creation. They said we need it, and then they took many, many years to develop it. And that's their perspective and view of the world. It is long-term, where mine, as a region advisor, is just short-term, 1 year or 2 years if I have been appointed for a second year. Thank you.